So I chose an article called Learning in and Through the Arts, the Question of Transfer, found in the journal Studies in Our Education, Volume 41, Issue 3. And it was basically the main point of the article. It starts off talking about how most of the arguments about our education being important in school is this idea of transferring, of just transfer, where skills and skills are learned within our education, then transferred to other subjects, and so that our education makes better students within subjects, the core subjects like math and science, and then it's this kind of unidirectional learning from art to the other subjects. And so it mentioned how past studies may have assumed too much or jumped to conclusions, and how this idea of transfer may be flawed in some ways. And so the study went through 5 phases in 12 schools, elementary and middle schools, kind of thinking about this idea of transfer and how the arts affect students, because one of the points it brought up was that there can be a lot of different factors in the success of students within other subjects. And so it went through 5 phases, and at the end it talks about how the arts definitely showed positive influences in a wide variety of things. For example, a lot of skill sets in students, like risk-taking, confidence, ownership of learning, task persistence. But there isn't any clear evidence of transfer to specific subject disciplines, but that it gives them these skills. It also mentioned how it's not just the arts that does this, and that it's not so basic. This idea of transferring and unidirectional learning is too simplistic, and that each subject gives students more skills, and that they kind of work together. And so saying either or is flawed. Saying art is better than this or this is better than art is flawed, and that it needs to be shown that all of it has positive influences. And so this idea of transfer is too simplistic, and learning is a more complex thing. And so there should be kind of like this change in how we think of our education, how we how we like work through disciplines. Also, it talked about how that there still is a relationship between learning in the arts and other disciplines, but at the end I really like the last 2 sentences. It just says, what is critical is not that capacities and dispositions transfer, but that they are exercised broadly across different knowledge domains, and that no subject has prior rights over any other subject. To diminish one is to diminish the possibility and promise of them all. And so for my my project, I am talking about the importance of the arts in school and within childhood development in education. But I like this article because it kind of gives a broader outlook and kind of looks at the other side and reminds us that it doesn't have to just be either or. Not one is more important than the other, but they're all important. And I think that's really vital in this discussion of the importance of different subjects, especially when they're not core subjects, that each one is still important, and they lend themselves to each other, so that teachers improve, children improve, and we have well-rounded students. And so I thought that this article was relevant. It's older, but I think it had some good points of how we as a society might view learning and education, what's important, and it's important to realize that each has its own place and lends to itself in a student's life. So I thought it was relevant.